very first time in the show, we are coming to you live, not only myself here in Green Bay, Wisconsin at the Titletown Flats, but Dave has decided to join us as well on a very special day, not only because it's Thursday Night Football, but this also marks the 1 year anniversary, almost to the day of when Packers on the Rocks started. And it's been just about 6 or 7 years since the last time I've seen Dave in person. There's a whole different story that comes along with that, but I think that's a pretty good way to be able to kick off an in-person first pregame show.
One of these days we got to tell the story. But right now, thanks for having us at your house. Me, my wife Karen joined the trip. Excited for Thursday Night Football. Excited to be here. You got a sweet place. No better place to be than Lambeau. I've always said it's my home away from home. So with that, Lions coming into town along with me. And how are we feeling today?
Not the same old Lions. Dave, we're gonna do like a
Yeah,
normally we got a cheers, but this is like
cheers.
a full-on real cheers at this time. With the Knob Creek to put us in the sweet spot for not the same old Lions coming to town.
Yeah, they've got us 3 in a row now. I'm not overly confident about this game, to be honest. We're missing Dave. Dave Bakhtiari was just placed on IR about an hour ago, for you guys that might not know. However, we have Aaron Jones and Christian Watson coming back on a pitch count. So, and it also looks like Zach Tom's going to play. Because if you read between the lines, another line was not called up today. So that gives you good hope that Tom's ready to go. Rasheed Walker, I've liked what I've seen from him. We might have found another diamond in the rough in terms of offensive linemen. But Packers starting to get healthy. After today, we got 10 days off, play a game, and then we got the bye. So hopefully we keep continuing to get healthy. But this is for first place in the division.
I wouldn't have thought week 4, Dave coming into town. The Packers knew that you're going to make your first visit since 2019 when we boat raced the Oakland Raiders at the time. Rodgers put up 5 touchdowns, but they must have had a feeling that Dave's going to come into town. We're not going to be at complete full staff with the exceptions of Bakhtiari and Jenkins. But they're like, we need to give Dave our best shot at probably a top 3 team in the NFC North in the Detroit Lions. They always give us their best shot too, but I just think it's going to be pretty entertaining that we have our 2 top weapons on offense coming to help this guy named Jordan Love that's done nothing but exceeding expectations through the first 3 weeks.
I have pretty high expectations because the last time I was at a game at Lambeau, I saw a perfect passer rating. So that's the bar.
They ball out when you're here, and it's like, I don't care if you're hurt, but you got to give it a go. Exception 69.
There are some good tells with this Packer defense lining up against this Detroit offense. They've held them under 20 points the last couple of times they've faced them. Packers offense has not been able to keep up to that. So Jordan Love has been in rhythm. I know that completion percentage at the time is low. Fans are worried. He's hitting the right plays at the right time. And LaFleur is dialing up some points. So it's all about execution, which seems like they've been preaching for the last week of, hey, the plays are there to be made. We're just not in the right spot at the right time. Exactly. Even on the 2-point conversion, LaFleur said that Reed's motion was a little bit delayed. So hopefully they clean up some things. But, I mean, there's guys being there's guys being schemed up that are wide open. Love just needs to kind of put it on them, or guys need to kind of learn when to break it off a little bit or take it vertically a little bit. The timing's just a little bit off. You know what I mean?
Dave, I have to thank you for turning me on to, which I didn't think I was going to enjoy this at first, but I did today, and I think it's going to be part of my new weekly routine is QB coach with JT O'Sullivan, who did spend a year in Green Bay, and I think if I can dip into my long-term memory bank, I think he wore number 7 during his lone year in green and gold. I did not look that up ahead of time, so somebody come fact-check me on that, but I watched that, and I don't think enough people or media is paying enough praise for the job that Matt LaFleur has done in this true offense being ran without these sort of audibles at the line of scrimmage by Rodgers. This is what it's supposed to look like from day one. Love is running it. They said during the offseason that he took a look at McDaniel's film down there in the Dolphins. Fuck, I hope. I'll let at least a couple F-bombs fly, but I sure hope that LaFleur takes a couple of the plays that the Dolphins ran against the Broncos last week because they put up a 70 burger on them. I've never even seen a score like that before, but I think it's just we need to give a lot more flowers and credit to LaFleur for what he's done so far because watching QB coach, he did a phenomenal job, and JT O'Sullivan called it out on multiple occasions. Clearly, it's paying off from watching McDaniel's tape, Shanahan's tape for the 49ers, and all I said in the preseason is Love, be like Brock Purdy. Be a game manager. Don't do too much. Get the ball in hands. But I think he's went far and beyond that. But yeah, I'm sorry. Since in person, I gotta give a bit of a cheers to Matt LaFleur and scheming all of these guys wide open. And Love's just missing some of those throws. If he connects on all of them, he's off to a pace of like Brett Favre's MVP, first MVP. I want to say in '95. That sort of 7-1 TD to interception ratio.
I did a deep dive of Love this week because I was just curious of everyone was griping about the throws he's missing. I did a deep dive of the incompletions he has. And some of these incompletions that he has are still thrown on a rope between defenders. I mean, at times Packers are failing to separate or he's throwing in tight windows because he has to. It's 3rd and 8. You need to have it, 4th down type stuff. He's throwing some perfect passes that his receivers are dropping or the defender's just getting in front of the receiver to kind of knock it down. The receiver's not doing a good enough job bodying out the cornerback or something like that. But I've been preaching it for 3 weeks now. He's making the right reads, right? Like, there's no denying he's not putting the ball in harm's way. Aaron Rodgers taught him well in terms of ball is life in the NFL. Oh, man, you're doing that. The guitar fake was filthy.
If you want to get Dave going from 6 to midnight real quick, all you got to do is a guitar string fake, and I'm glad that's living on in Green Bay.
But he's exceeding all expectations. Defense with Sean Gary coming more and more, getting a couple more pitches, a couple more at-bats, if you will, each game. Came alive last week. I'm expecting him to have a big game again this week. Jair is a question mark coming into this game. Valentine's a question mark coming into this game. Packers are pretty banged up. That front seven's going to have to do some work.
Dave, you brought up that you did a dissection of J Love tape and all them sidearm throws. We got Brian Baldy calling him Muhammad Ali in the pocket, the way that he dances on his toes. So some of those deep dives, like you've seen the incompletion and the deep throws that he's been underthrowing quite a few guys. Yeah. So it's like sort of relating it to tonight with the blazing speed of Christian Watson, I think is like the 2nd or 3rd fastest player in the whole league. Like the key is for Love, wouldn't you say, from the incompletions and missing him short, that he's definitely got to get that ball out there? Because there's got to be a few shots tonight with Christian Watson hamstring, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm any sort of QB coach, any sort of,
today you are
fundamentals and all that stuff, but the last couple weeks, even probably in Chicago, the first couple of reps he had at deep shots, I've been thinking to myself, he has to get that ball out probably 3 to 5 yards earlier because I think he's launching at top range and then hangs up. So you get that ball out earlier, especially with Watson, he can run underneath it. I mean, he's coming up short, and we're getting those short ball pass interference calls, right? But sooner or later,
bailing us out.
They're not going to come, or a cornerback's going to run underneath it. Get it out sooner, let him run underneath it, get a potential for a run after the catch or what have you. But everything else, I'm really liking this. And I think you're going to see a different dynamic with Aaron Jones coming back. This isn't going to be the same offense of 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks, you're going to see more of a Bears offense of screen passes, pitch plays that actually go for some yards, finding the right holes. Jones is the real deal. Like, if you were wondering who you can have back out of the 5 inactives going into this day,
you had to pick one.
It's Aaron Jones. I mean, obviously, Bakhtiari solidifies your left side of the line. He's going to be out for the next 4, possibly more. But Aaron Jones is a game breaker.
He tilts the field. It's like when you have Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre out there that, I mean, just even his presence out there and how much you have to account for him in Chicago. It was so evident, Soldier Field, that each time he touched the ball, like he was sort of one tick faster than everybody else, or just like everybody else was kind of running mud while he was running on a fast track. We don't got to get into turf talk, but I mean, Aaron Jones tonight on a limited pitch count, but I don't think that hurts us all too much because we always act like he's on a limited pitch count as is.
He's on one anyway.
And then, like, sort of playing off that, Dave, we've seen it through like so the Falcons game. There was a trick play that sort of flea flicker back, and then even last week against the Saints, that pass from Emmanuel Sanders, Jordan Love decided to do the splits and try to throw a wide open pass to Dontavian Wicks, but he missed them. Do you expect some trick plays with Aaron Jones back in tonight? We know Dan Campbell's not afraid to go for it on fourth down. Like, right. Is it going to be a bunch of, hey, if we get it less than 4th and 5, both LaFleur and Dan Campbell, you better just get your defense staying out in the field and ready for whatever the hell they could throw at you?
I'm expecting at least one that he pulls from the bag. I have an interesting take. I'm going to call my shot here. You're going to see Jaden Reed and Keyshawn Nixon on the field at the same time. And you're going to run a reverse. That's my call. You're going to do a motion with Jaden or Nixon. You're going to either hand it off to one and then he pitches to the other, or you're going to fake it to one and throw it to the and like hand it off to the other. I'm going to see like there's going to be some trickery with this team. I like it. I like what LaFleur is doing. He's making defensive coordinators really dig deep to see what LaFleur is going to throw out there because he's throwing a lot on tape, right? So that makes you plan for everything. So I'm expecting one more. I would really like to see a Reed Nixon reverse or like fake to one, throw it to the other.
Because we can't give it to Nixon back-to-back games when he's in there on an end around and expect the first down. Like, right. There's got to be some sort of trickery that it's a fake to K9, and Jaden Reed's going to be standing nearby.
I'm going to go backtrack just a little bit to your Aaron Jones comment. He might be on pitch count, but I think what you're going to see a lot of is a lot of play action. Because it's like you still have to account for Jones. So as long as it's kind of like that, deception thing where you don't need to necessarily give him the ball to make the defense react to him.
There's been a lot of times that these motions and it looks like a run play that they've sold it so well so far, right. That it's freezing the safeties and you're wondering why Love, I think, has had a decent amount of time in the pocket so far, and we got to account for Aiden Hutchinson, who is 100% on Rashawn Gary's type level. He is a game wrecker, as LaFleur mentioned it. How can we freeze him or neutralize him enough in the pass rush that Love can keep with these sidearm angles and looking off defenders, these no-look passes, because he is a force to be reckoned with tonight. With us down Bakhtiari and Jenkins, and I imagine they're probably going to line them up all over the field. They even sometimes will put them out in coverage at times. They had an interception last year. I want to say it was against Fields. I mean, Fields can't really read the field very well, but that's one of those guys that I think we got to account for in every single play.
Yeah, that's my one of two matchups to watch. I have Hutchins versus either Tom or Walker, depending on where they're going to line them up. Because they're going to move them around, see where our weak point is on that offensive line. And then a very interesting one is Reed versus Branch.
Yeah, Brian Branch, who was a prospect that we were looking at in draft. And I know that you're like, hey, we should not be drafting a safety this early. I agree with you. I don't know if we should be ever really drafting the safety unless it's like an Ed Reed or Troy Polamalu type. But he's one of those people that people expect to go first round early, but he ran a slow 40, didn't do that well of a combine, and he's been showing up left and right. LaFleur also gave him some praise earlier this week. I think he gives too much praise to other teams as is, but that's
I like that thing. To be honest with
you. You do? Yeah. You do like it when LaFleur gives a ton of credit to the other team instead of like Robert Saleh. He's like, another coach will come up to me on the sideline after a game and be like, you guys play hard. And he's like, fuck that. I don't want to hear that noise. I'm like, I'd probably rather go more towards Saleh than LaFleur always giving so much credit to other teams. I'm like, hey, we got a hell of a ball club too, LaFleur.
Yeah, I like the respect atmosphere of it. It's fine. I mean, you don't want to run into too many enemies in this league. You never know when you're going to need a job. But
that is true. But yeah, Brian Branch, I think he's a dog. He's a player.
Yeah. So I have that. I think it's going to be with Watson back too. It's going to be completely different because Dobbs. No matter what you guys want to say about Dobbs and Watson, Watson's the true number one on this team. Watson can be hurt. When he comes back, that guy is a game breaker. Same with Jones. But it'll be interesting with Dobbs matched up on the 2, Watson on the 1, or if they want to reverse that, I'll take Watson on the 2. And then you have Reed and you have Musgrave. There's a lot of young talent on this team that we have yet to see on the field this year. So it's a very exciting football game, very exciting night.
What about the defensive side of the ball? Who do we got to account for? This guy named Jahmyr Gibbs that I think was picked way too early. What I call a reach draft pick by the lines. I'm like, I'm not taking a running back in the first round, let alone in like the top 15 or it was like a top 10 pick, whatever they went. Like, dude, this guy shoots out of a effing cannon on the ball.
Run defense is always a concern. I don't care if you put, LeGarrette Blount now or Eddie Cheeseburger Lacey right now. It's going to be a concern. And then, you have the better of the St. Brown brothers come down without Jair, possibly. We haven't got the inactive list yet. Jair is trending down currently. So there's going to be, our front seven is going to have to work. Like, commit guys to the box.
Isaiah McDuffie, that's you.
It seemed to work last week, right? We wanted to do numbers in the box once, we started getting on that roll, and it's like, okay, we'll just throw it on us. We're going to commit 7, 8 guys in the box and let your dogs on the outside work.
Kenny Clark, I don't know, I know that he kind of starts off the season strong, then he fades away, and then he comes back. He's having so far another one of the type of those seasons that he jumps off the page early on, that he kind of makes his presence known from the jump. He's like, hey, I'm going to swim one of your guards or one of your centers, get in the backfield for it. I mean, it was a sack last week on the first possession.
Fastest sack in the NFL so far this year.
Really?
Yes.
For snap count?
From the time the ball was snapped till the sack, it's the fastest sack in the NFL right now.
You heard it here first, Packers on the Rocks fans. Dave's been timing it. He's went through every single NFL game and timed each one of the snaps. Jair, are you playing tonight or not? Well, I can look over there in Lambeau. Give me a thumbs up over there from Lambeau. I feel bad that everybody can't see it from our angle, but
could have done it down on the patio. Could have done it inside Lambeau.
Could have, yes. Their Wi-Fi is just not up to speed. Is the only thing. Yeah. All right. So run defense. That's the first thing, because they also have David Montgomery from the Bears. Yes. He's back from injury, and he's a handful, and that he can break a ton of tackles. But we've done well with David Montgomery over the years, where he hasn't had these sort of bowling ball type runs against Packers. So I'm not worried about him. It's just Jahmyr Gibbs in space, and they can line him up in the slot and the backfield. There's a number of things that they can do for him. So just like Aiden Hutchinson, you got to know where he's at all times. Yeah. I don't want to see like Devondre Campbell and Bijan Robinson, where he's 8 yards laid off of him on a 3rd and 2, and then they get an easy completion to pick up the sticks.
It seems like the Lions also have asked Goff to be doing things way more comfortable than the Rams ever did. It's kind of, I'm not going to say it's double-edged sword, because you're still dealing with Goff, and I'm more confident in the approach of trying to stack the box to stop the run game and letting Goff try to work there. But Goff has been different with this Lions team than he ever was with the Rams.
He protects the ball a lot better. He plays a lot more clean games than when he used to.
So I'm looking at Gary. Preston's been quiet this year. I need Preston to have a good game in the run defense and maybe get a pressure or two.
Where the hell's he been?
And Wyatt needs to have a Bears-type game. And I want Carl Brooks to show out. So it's on the defensive line. And then please just get bodies on guys and let Quay Walker work, because Quay Walker is having an outstanding year.
Should have 2 interceptions today. Is 1 pick six, 17 tackles 2 weeks ago. I don't know how many he had against the Falcons, if you got a good stat to pull out of the bag right now, but he's clearly made that jump. Devontae Wyatt, get upfield quick. They have, it's just so crazy to think that how many years the Lions have wasted first round draft picks. It's and there's another bust. But now it's been these last few drafts are actually hitting on players on the offensive side of the ball. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think Gibbs is the player. They have another it's a left tackle, I want to say, Pinois or Sinois,
Yeah.
something like that, some Hawaiian dude or Samoan.
Simone.
Yeah, who's a hell of a tackle. I want to say like top 5 in this league, and Goff hasn't been asked to do too much, but like he's done fairly well with the football. And I mean, if Jair's playing, he held Amon-Ra St. Brown the last time we played him pretty well in check. I want to say he only had like 50 or 60 yards, and there was times I think he was mic'd up during that game, and he's like, you're just a little boy. He's like, he said something along those lines. Jair says some pretty sort of controversial stuff to really get in your head throughout the game. But Gibbs, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, I'm trying to think if there's any sort of other things on defense that we need to be made aware of.
There's an overlap though, right? Like we all agree on that. There's an overlap between who you pick in the draft and how you coach them up, right? And the Lions the last 2-3 years have finally found that good intersect, like the Packers have. People always wonder why the Packers have great offensive linemen. Why do they always have great quarterbacks? Well, it's the scouts who bring in that talent of saying this guy might be raw, and it's that coaching talent that brings him in and can coach that raw talent and turn him into a diamond. The Lions have all of a sudden struck gold a couple of times. But they don't have the Packers history. They don't have that longevity of it. And so far, in terms of NFC North, we still have the target on our backs. Aaron Rodgers is not in town. Jordan Love took over the throne. But there's still some bite to this team.
The standard is the standard, Dave. It
I
doesn't
agree.
leave. Yeah, we still carry the G. It's like my first knee-jerk reaction is thinking of like the Browns and how many wasted quarterbacks they have. I'm like, if you gave them to Green Bay, we might be able to make a player out of them.
We used to be trading fourth-round draft picks at quarterback for second-round draft picks and saying, here, take them off our hands. This is going to sit behind our starter for the next 3-4 years.
I'll flex a little bit. We got Aaron Brooks. We got Matt Hasselbeck. Matt Flynn even got himself a contract. Doug Peterson. I mean, he was a backup for many years, but you look no further than Matt Hasselbeck and Aaron Brooks and Mark Brunell and Kurt Warner was with us for a little bit. Like, this is dating back like 30 years worth of quarterback development, and then everything that Mike McCarthy did, where they're like, all right, well, Brian Brom must not be a dude if Mike McCarthy can't develop him. But yeah, coaching I think is half the battle.
Where do you see this game leaning? Because there's only a few more hours till kickoff. I need to get a couple of ice cold beverages in me before we enter the stands. So, where's this game headed? How you see it playing out? What's your score, etc.?
Yeah, I didn't look at yeah, you're right. A little over 22 minutes. Probably should be putting a bow on this thing, closing out the tab, and we got tons of fans trickling in. And this Knob Creek bourbon is hitting the spot. All right, so now that I've dodged your question for at least a little bit by myself sometime. Looking back at May and the schedule release, both of us had a loss, I want to say, in this one. I don't know if we did like exact score predictions. I'll tell you this, Dave, like you've been pretty on the mark and on the money so far with your score predictions, and Falcons was turning out to be true. It was before you called it out and jinxed yourself. Last week, I was just about on the money. I said 20-17 win. It was 18-17. I was 2 points off for all you gamblers if you want to get your last second sort of nod in there. But unfortunately, Packer fans, I know we sound like homers, probably at least to some extent, but no, we call it straight down the middle. And this one's a loss, Dave. I know it's a redemption shot for the Packers and sort of getting even with the physicality that the Lions have, but I still feel it as though that they have a lot more holes filled and they're a lot more complete team than what we are at this time. Next year at this time, good luck, Lions. Like, hey, guess what? Like Deion Sanders says, we coming. But I'll go ahead and give my score prediction. I'm saying 31-20, Lions win.
Whew, you're okay. Yeah, I'm not feeling great about this one as bad as I feel saying that because I'm here. But I have it being a little bit tighter, but I do have it as a loss. I had 27-17 on my scorecard.
10-point favorite either way.
I know. I'm feeling very bad. I'm hoping I'm wrong in the other 10 points.
Wait not to let your emotions get into it. Have not been here since 2019. You're just like, it's all pack all day and doesn't matter. whether we have half our offensive line being down and they have a decent
We could get
pass
we
rush.
could get a guest host real quick and see what her score is, but
Should we? I think you're gonna say, hey, your call if,
No, we're good.
if she's down for a guest score and she's
I don't think
ready
she
and-
wants to hear our
and her
score.
pack-
I don't think she wants to hear our score prediction. If I drove up here on 4 hours and said we're gonna lose by 10, I think she would tell me to turn the car.
Dave, it's not worth it. Can we sell our tickets pregame?
So, all right, with that, guys, we are gonna hop on after the game, win or lose, and break it down for you, gents.
It could be a little reckless if we're hopping on after the game. Apologize, I had a few hiccups going on at that time last week, but it was such a thrilling, like, adrenaline rush of a victory that I'll never forget against the Saints just like 4 days ago. I'm like, damn, this isn't even like a quick enough sort of break in the action for me to like get my head straight, to recover from the alcohol that was infused that day. But let's hope that we have another sort of outcome is what we did on Sunday.
So if we're down 17, your dad left early last week. If we're down 17 at half, I'm sending Karen home, and then we're gonna see if we're gonna.
Somebody's got to be the scapegoat for it. There was this video of a Chiefs fan leaving at halftime like a few years ago in the playoffs. He's like, I gotta leave. He's like, I gotta do it for the Chiefs. He's like, I'm bad luck or something. And sure enough, they climbed back into the game. They won it. I think that was like their trip to the Super Bowl. It was at least divisional round. But yeah, if we're down big, someone's got to be the scapegoat. And Karen, I hope you don't mind while she's taking a picture at this very moment.
All right, guys, we'll be back on after the game. Hope you guys have Amazon Prime or have some way of watching it. Let's get a win, even though we're not thinking that way right now. But let's just show out talent evaluation year, right? So we get Watson back, we got Jones back. This might be your Packers, 2024 team with Rasheed Walker at left tackle. Got Tom Back. You're just missing Jenkins. So this might be your team in the future.
NFC North's on the line.
Yeah, for playoffs ended. All right, man. Well, let's have a good one. Let's have a couple more drinks, and let's get into Lambeau.
And a bump my extended. Cheers, all.